Good morning and welcome to a lovely day here in North Yorkshire. This is another episode of Inside of the Deal. Me and Joe are going to try and, get you some content. Please subscribe to Show Them New Rugby TV. Fantastic week last week. We got loads of likes, some new followers, and a couple of things we did get wrong technically, but we're going to try and put that right. Making sure we've got enough homework on what we do. We've done a lot more homework this week, guys. We're going to roll you some things. But the first thing on Inside of the Deal is...
Wait, before we do that, quick shout out to the new jumpers. As you can see, we've got the new ones with Shane Oxon, Show Me the Money. Thank you, Shane, for the old merch. Maybe some coming out soon. If you're interested, give us a message. We might have some Show Me the Money stuff coming out soon. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, thanks for that, Joe. That really is interesting. And we've got Inside the Deal. So the biggest news at the moment, we've been asked, and happened last night. I think it got 7 o'clock. It got announced. Luke Gale going to Keighley. Going to get Gailey to do a few words on his end, but you know what? I decided to think, well, sometimes it's better for people to listen to how that deal had come about from us. So it is the Inside the Deal without the player giving his opinion, because sometimes players, and I love them to bits, but they'll just give the platonic answers about how it happened, and they'll just try and say everything good about the club and how everything's magical. And sometimes listening to how a deal gets done like that, it obviously gives you a little bit of a different take on things. So we spoke to quite a few clubs, Super League, as I think I mentioned before. We spoke to quite a few NRL clubs. The NRL gamble was to take Luke as a number 3, and it was just going to be like, did he accept himself that he wanted to be a number 3, change, and finish his career with something he always wanted to do. And we nearly got, I'm not saying we're nearly, probably 75% we got down the line of doing a deal with the club, and then it never come through. I thought that left us a little bit empty, because we spoke to quite a few Super League clubs, and everybody had done their recruiting. So people ask me as an agent, how do you feel when you've got a player like Luke who's coming, 35-year-old, done everything he wanted to achieve in the game, and then everybody, because of the way it finished at Hull, I think in his contract at Hull, he got so many games, it clicked in for another year. We just automatically thought that was going to happen. For whatever reason, it didn't. And everyone had spent the cap. So the cap money had been spent. Everybody who I talked to, I'd love to have took Gailey, but, we've got no cap space. So then you're looking for, which is sad in a way and shouldn't happen to a player like Luke, but you're looking for injuries. You're thinking, oh, God, if somebody pulls an hamstring or if somebody's out of form or this and that, and then somebody coming for Luke at the late date. We've rolled that for 6 weeks. We've sat there, we've been patient. Luke trained on his own. We kept saying it. People making comments saying, why would he do this? Why would he do that? Well, it was simple. Luke wanted to do it with a process of getting his body right, getting his sin ready. As the weeks have come and the first game's going to be in 2 weeks' time, I think Leeds friendly Boxing Day, there's quite a few friendlies over Christmas. It started to get a little bit nervous from our part of saying, you know what, Luke, if you want to take a deal, we might have to look into the Championship. Luke had been doing some one-on-ones with S&C guys who were fantastic lads.
Driven athlete. Yeah.
Is that what they're called, Joe?
Driven athlete.
There's a plug for your lads. And he'd really enjoyed doing the one-on-ones with them. And they'd been mentioning how they worked with Keighley, worked with York, and they kept saying how enjoyable the Keighley atmosphere. So Luke had mentioned this to me. I, about 10 days ago, went with Luke to meet Reese and the lads. And it was a very enjoyable conversation. They have loads of ambition. We also went and, I did talk to 2 or 3 other Championship clubs who seemed quite keen. But again, budget-wise, didn't have any budget left to make this happen. So, roll on another 7 days. Luke went working for the first time, which I thought was funny. I know it's probably my sixth sense of humour, but Luke on the roof for the last 10 days has been fantastic for me. I think it's done that lovely transition of being involved in a full-time environment since you've been 17 or 18 with Luke's case at London. To be fair to Luke, before he came to Doncaster, he worked with his dad at Block Paving and he came and played part-time then. So Luke said, you know what, I'm going to go and work for my brother Ben. He went on the roof and he's had a brilliant time. He rang me every night, we talk, we have a laugh, and he said, you know what, I've actually got back to normality, coming out of that environment of everything being done for you. and having to get up at 7 in the morning and go on a roof all day and get home at 6. He said, but in his way, he's loved it. So that actually made the process of the part-time 100% easier, because he'd accepted then that he could still do this job with his brother and whatever. He'd spoke to his wife and he discussed with family what he wanted to do, and it made the decision, and then it was just getting the right club. We spoke to Keighley again, maybe 2 or 3 times. Their ambition were fantastic. I think they're one of the only championship clubs, and now Reece and the guys at Keighley might not want to hear me say this because they're downplaying it, saying, you know, as long as we don't get relegated, but you don't spend the money Keighley have done if you're not going to go for it. They're going for it. I can say that, and people can pull me on it. They're going for it 100%. I think Reece did an interview where me and Luke were there, and he said, oh, you know, as long as we don't, and we're all safety, but, you know, I think they've recruited to try and win it. I think the championship is open to win. Spoke to Matt Shaw, actually, we talked about it yesterday, and we were saying, pick a club out. Paul Lake in LKR, I said to me, Craig, who's going to win the championship? It looks the most open championship in history of the game. Featherstone are just starting to recruit a little bit. Toulouse have got what they've got. There's no Leeds, there's no Toronto, there's no big hitting club spending millions. Keighley will be up there with the spend. They've gone for 4 or 5 probably Super League top players. Luke being probably the highest ranking one.
Ben Crooks also from KR. Sadiq Adibayi from Wakey. We've got a couple of Super League players moving down there.
It's a weird one, because you'll also get asked with Luke, is how will Luke at 35 try to find a transformation of the standard? Well, he's going to get his eyes open, because the standard certainly ain't as good. It's not as fast. What it is it's probably more brutal. So Luke's going to be, you know, coming up the away grounds this year, and he's not done that for a long time, you know, and he's going to be playing at some grounds where there'll be less than 600 people in, and he'll be getting some stick, you know, and he'll be the conditions to the pitches are a lot different. The higher standard you play, the pitches are better. I'm not saying all of them, but historically, some of the pitches Luke's going to have to play, and he's going to take him back to Doncaster days where you are kicking out of mud, you're kicking early in tackles. There's a lot more
early season in the Cumbria clubs, where there's, I think last year there were a mud bath game where everyone were covered head to toe in mud.
Well, the Featherstone pitch historically, he takes a lot of mud when the weather's bad. Anyway, we could go on all day, but he's gonna have his eyes turned, and he's gonna have a journey. One thing about Luke, I think, where he'll come out at other end is he's a winner. And he you know, and people say this when they say about winning. What's winning for a top player like Luke? Well, winning a man of steel from being part-time at Doncaster. Winning would be taking Cass on a running 17 that might not ever happen again. Let's hope it does for Cass, but it might never happen again. I think they got beat once all year and got to a grand final. Luke won a Challenge Cup with Leeds, his boyhood heroes. He's played in a World Cup final. It's behind us. You know, he played in the World Cup final, which is, you know, you think about where he started to playing 17 times for Great Britain and England and playing a World Cup final and become a Callum Watkins. I think it was Callum Watkins' ankle tap from literally doing some serious damage. I think he's achieved everything he's wanted to do, but you know what? Might be one last dance. I know we talked last night about him going into coaching. It's something he wants to do, and he also wants to follow the media. He wants to get involved in the Sky and the BBC. He wants to talk about the game. He's interested in the game, so he's got a few things he can pursue as long as alongside the dream of taking Keighley to as high as he can. So there's still a dance left in Luke for me, and I think it's about time the show me players took over the media side and give these other individuals a bit of stick, and we need to get our boys in. Danny and Gailey are coming, so show me should be well represented. Ryan Brearley's doing fantastic with his journey on it, so we're quite well represented, and it's about time we did. So that's the news on Gailey. That's it. Deal done. Keighley fans should be happy.
I'd say a few questions that Twitter have said, I think you can respond to. I think one of them you've kind of gone into, but if you went more precisely, is rightly or wrongly, and obviously in our opinion wrongly, is commitment to the game at moments being questioned on Twitter. Obviously we strongly disagree with that. We're not endorsing that, but what would be your response to be someone who's saying...
There would be no response. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, yeah, to think that a guy who's done what he's done wouldn't go to Keighley. He's never done queuing rack in his life. He's worst loser in world.
Yeah.
He's mardy, he's petulant.
He is, yeah.
He's everything you want in a player to be successful, so he ain't going. And one thing, listen, Gailey's family are rough lads. They're not, I'm not going to use the word, but I'm going to use, but the street, they're not going to be bothered. He won't be scared about going to these away grounds and these people giving him some crap. He'll say, come on, you can do it any way you want. He'll not be bothered about any of them. His family are deep in amateur rugby from where he's from. He's from Miggy, and he's never left, he's left and changed his life, but he's still got that bit of street in him. This is not a kid who's going to go around and think, oh my God, I'm not going to play downhill at Batley or go to Cumbria or... No, he'll go and he'll take every bit of whatever they want to throw at him. Somebody said this to me, I went to a wedding at weekend and somebody said to me, which I found a bit disturbing, not disturbing, that's a bit strong of a word, but I didn't get it. He said he's become trouble, that Luke Gale. Yeah, that's why Super League clubs have not gone for him.
A lot of Twitter.
And I said, that's who do you get these things off? Luke Gale can go to any one of his old clubs and be well respected by every single person at the club. He can walk into Hull tomorrow, and he held the team together half at season. He was the one who emotionally were keeping the team. He was the one who the chairman, the CEO, the coach were asking to keep the lads together when they were going through the bad times. I think sometimes he put his son up there and took more stick than he should, because the other people who were happy for him to do that, and he'll openly tell you that himself. There were players actually saying, could we've got you, Gale, you're taking all stick. The coaches knew what were happening, and he did. Luke Gale can walk back to Leeds tomorrow. There's not one person at Leeds Rhinos. By the way, that's why we've got the testimonial game to announce. Luke will get the testimonial game with Leeds because of the respect they've got for him. That tells you what they think about him at Leeds. They asked him to play in the New Zealand game, and the friendly, they wanted him back. They didn't like the way it ended. The only person Gailey had cross words with at Leeds were Richard Agar. Simple as. That were a personality clash between two people. The rest of Leeds, come on, that semi-final performance against Wigan when they got to Challenge Cup were as good as I have ever seen by any individual player. So he can walk back to Bradford. They love him. Castleford. People have probably asked me why he didn't sign for Cass. Cass had already done the recruiting. If you ask every single Cass player, would they have Gailey back tomorrow? Ask him. You've got social media these days. It's fantastic. You can just tweet. Tweet Adam Milner, Paul McShane, Cheap, all these. Would they have him back tomorrow? He was massive and still is a part of their lives as a friend. He could go back to London. So there's nowhere Luke's left where he wouldn't be well respected by the players and the coaching staff. And this because as England, Luke still gets regular with James Graham. He did a podcast, James, about a year ago, and he said to me, I miss the friendships. He says, and Luke, what second player he mentioned, alongside Sam Burgess, as having a friend who at that level, Elliot Whitehead. So Luke at England level was so well respected by all the lads. Wayne Bennett thought the world of him, were very loyal to him. So I don't see where this player, because of wanting, what happened at Leeds it was just whatever, two egos clashed or whatever it was. There was just something that didn't go right. Rich might tell his story one day. Gailey might tell his story. What happened in that period build-up and what happened. But you can't have a 15-year career and just bring up like one example, yeah. Yeah. So it was fantastic. Cass did well out of Luke. They sold him to Leeds. It was a transfer. Cass had 4 years of one of the best players in country, if not the number one Premier player for that 4-year period. And then got a fee to him, quite a big fee to go Leeds. So Cass did fantastic out of him. I think at the time Leeds got the Challenge Cup semi-final, when they won the Challenge Cup, they'd not won anything since 17, and he brought it back.
Yeah.
He did, and the lads who were there with him will openly tell you, Luke was probably, I don't even put the percentage, but I'd say a lot of them would say he were that high in getting that trophy back to Leeds at Wembley. So, again, I think it's one thing that shocks me, and hopefully this goes out tonight and we can talk about it. I thought the Championship clubs and the supporters would be really buzzing, because if I've got a club and Luke Gale's coming to town with Keighley, yeah, obviously you get the Rugby League, hey, superstars are here. We used to get it. You get it. Hey, let's see what they're like when I'm smiling or not. Yeah, that's part of being a rugby player. And fans like to give good players stick. That's part of being a rugby player. Unfortunately, that's just part of the game. I thought they'd be quite chuffed. I thought they'd put thousands on it. You've got a lad.
The ownerships might be chuffed on the fact that they're fans, but why would other fans?
Because I'm going to go out. Did you see this is a lesson for you here? Then?
No, it's not a lesson for me. This is a lesson for you.
Well, I'll tell you.
Because I don't think
if
you understand how fans
think. You're spotting Featherstone, or you're spotting. Let's say put you down at Dewsbury, Batley, whatever, and you're coming. Keighley are coming. I absolutely when you were a baby when we owned. Let me tell you, when we owned Doncaster. And this is better than being a fan. This is actually owning and being a fan of your own club. I got more buzz when Barra come, when they had all them star players. I couldn't believe it. Because I wanted to see us play against the best players.
But you don't think like a fan. I've never met anyone who doesn't think like a fan like you. So I don't think you can talk.
So you're saying Luke Gale not coming to Keighley is not...
It's brilliant for the league in a whole. Yes, the ownership, like I said, it probably puts another 100, 200 on every gate. But does it will other fans in other teams be happy? No, because it means they're not going to do as well. Because Gailey will probably got a higher chance of beating them now because of Luke Gale being there, ex-Man of Steel. That's how fans think. I don't think you've ever... I think fans normally slaughter you on this, on the comments about when you make comments on the way fans think. You never get it right.
No, I have got it right.
You're not with fans. I don't think you've ever got it right.
Well, we'll see. This will be brilliant. Sam, make sure you follow every comment here.
Let's get it on.
I'm saying that I think you should be happy that a player of that magnitude who's still got enough in him to go and walk the walk gets to go to 10 teams next year who can turn up and watch him at their ground. I, last year, went to my first football game in 8 years at Goodison Park to watch Ronaldo. I wanted to go and watch him.
But you don't think like a fan. Why? If I support Whitehaven and I'm there going, we need to win against. We need to win. We can. You could see possibly squeezing out a win against a Keighley if things go right. You're at home, but now you see Gailey. You're not happy. You're not happy.
Why?
Because fans think wins and losses. They don't think they think wins and losses. Let's have it out.
I think you're going to get a shock on this one.
You've never got it right on fans.
I do.
You've never got it right on fans.
You can't say I've never got it right on fans.
Rarely. So right. Rarely then.
So that's ridiculous.
Use the word rarely, get it right with fans.
Let me say this. If they get a chance next year to watch Luke play in the Championship, I hope we've got enough thing to me. I'll be winning some games because Luke's playing. I want to see him in action. I want to see him play against Feather. It'll be fantastic. In fact, Bradford Keighley now... If I'm a Bradford fan now, I'm absolutely buzzing thinking Gailey's coming with Keighley to try and beat Bradford. Keighley fans should be buzzing. Bradford fans should be saying, let's get it on. Yes, let me finish. Yeah, they're wanting someone.
No one agrees with you.
They're wanting someone to smash him. They're wanting, you're going to get, hey, Gailey, you're crap, your legs have gone. That's all part of that's all part of the atmosphere.
But they're not thinking, oh, I'm so happy Gailey's there. They're going...
I've always thought, Joe, in 15 years, the best players, when they do go around and it's nearly end of theirs, they get loads of respect. Our sports are very good at that. Danny Maguire in his last year wasn't the same player. Did he get some respect? The lads who've done it at the top table do. In rugby league, you might be wrong on this. The rugby league fans might say, no, I can't wait, actually. And hey, as I say, they want to see Gailey head first in mud, slagging him off. But I think if you're going to buy a ticket this year and Gailey and them are coming into town with Keighley and they call it the big show's coming, because Keighley will get that. I always remember when we were at Doncaster, everyone used to say, oh, they're here because they thought you were the big spenders. It comes with that reputation. Derek's loved it at Leaf. Every time Degsy actually buzzes.
Keighley aren't the biggest spender. Well, I guess.
Yeah, anyway, they'll be up there. But Derek, I always laugh at Derek. He probably enjoys.
He loves that, yeah.
That championship journey. Better than they would in Super League, because in Super League he's not the top dog. Whereas in Championship, he goes, here, come on, we're coming in, we're going to give you it. I think Keighley are going to get a bit of that, but I say I'm hoping that the fans get to see a player towards... Do you know we didn't get a chance to see it because a lot of players historically don't drop down. So I don't know how many players would have to do a survey, how many international players end up going down the championships. I know when Doncaster signed Paul Cook, years after we went, they loved to watch him. The fans at Doncaster were... I can remember getting tweets, texts, Carl all saying, Craig, he is just another level. He's knocking... It was fantastic for Champ 1 to see a player like that. Scott Morrell, in his own way, I think so many people have been so lucky to watch Scott. No offence to them lads, Paul or Scott. This is a level above. This is the Premier table dropping down.
I'm not insulted. This is not that's not a comment on Gale. Yeah, you make out.
I think it's a comment on the fans. You're saying that they don't appreciate that.
No, that's where you're wrong. They don't appreciate. They probably do appreciate it, but they're not happy. Gailey will put another 50 to 100 fans on every gate, so yes, people will be coming to watch him, but they're not coming happily going, can't wait to watch the legend Luke Gale. It's not how fans think, sadly. It's how neutral.
Don't they do it with Tom Brady? Don't people like watching Tom Brady?
Yeah, but that's different. He's in a team. Well, not this year.
Not
they're
this
doing
year.
a bit bad.
I'm not comparing Gailey to Tom Brady. I don't want somebody to go, oh my God, he's just compared. I'm saying, if you got a chance as an American football fan to watch Tom Brady, would you take it, even though his legs could have gone?
I don't know. It's different. That's different because every stadium sells out 100,000 every game. So I don't know. I can't really. It doesn't really translate that well because every game sells out. So I won't be able to say, I
know when Kevin went to Carnegie, Kevin finished his career, then did a year at Leeds Carnegie. I know that the Carnegie fans, it went up a lot just to watch. Kev wanted a great success at Union as in a player. I think he said he found it pretty difficult to transition. It was quite late on. But there were people loved him going round all the grounds. They got to see the great Kevin Sinfield.
Yeah, fans themselves, yeah. I just don't think that's how... that's just not how that's how a neutral would think. So let's say I'm from the Bradford area and Bradford Bulls are playing. If one of your mates goes, come with me to watch the Bradford game. If you're just not a big Bradford fan, but say, they're playing Keighley, if you're a Super League fan, an ex-Cas fan or that, you'd go watch the game now. That's how I think they're going to put numbers on the doors. But I don't think if you're a diehard thinking of a Club Fev fan or a one who you're competing with, they're not going, yes, I get to watch Luke Gale play. Sadly, that's not how they think.
There will soon be proof Sam can do it. So anyway, wrapping that one up, we're going to be proved right. I'm hoping that fans...
I thought you'd say that.
I'm hoping that fans do appreciate, getting to watch him next year, and the championship's got a right boost. We're thinking about the Jack Walker, just friendly alone. They're thinking of Keighley v League match, and Jack texting me last night and telling Gailey, I can't believe it. And I'm thinking, how exciting is that? Am I going to go and watch that? Of course I am.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to
a neutral fan.
And if I'm a Keighley fan...
No, I'm explaining. You're describing a neutral fan.
No, I was going to finish. A Keighley fan.
Of course they're happy.
I'm absolutely buzzing. And Bradford are coming. And do I want to see Jack Walker play again? Yeah. Keighley fans see Jack Walker come and go, yeah, let's go see how good Jack Walker is. What an exciting thing for all the fans. Bradford fans seeing Gailey come and take on what they consider. I think it's fantastic matchups everywhere.
Well, I think
do you know what the championship needed? It probably needed this shot in the arm. Bigger than anything it's had.
I think what's good is now you've got to hope Bradford as a city, as a rugby league stronghold city, famously rejuvenate some of that rugby league love which has been waning over the last 15 years. You've got to hope now it revives the city because you've got probably two of the top, possibly 4 teams in championship going at it for potentially getting promoted. That will be amazing.
I need to stop at this moment. I need to stop this, and I'm going to phone Mick Gledell live on the show because he's a absolute diehard, and I'm asking this question. Mick's coming on later for the full 80. We're going to do it from Mick, but I'm going to ring Mick now, if we can, Sam, live, because I think we need a little bit of... now, let's see if... sorry about this, I'm doing it live, so get me... Have you got his number, Sam?
No, what? Do you want me to ring him? Because I'll do it.
And I'm going to ask him this question. This will be a great little bit of content, because Mick doesn't know we're going to ask him this. And he'll give us a really good view of this question. There's no one better in the world of rugby than the Gled to answer this. If you don't pick up, we apologise, but we could do. We come into a... There we go. Right on cue, Mick's not picked up. So we'll wait to the full 80 to put...
He's here. Hey Mick, you're live on the show. We're just having a debate. Dad's going to ask you a question here. We need your honest response, Mick. Simple as... Well, you need to put it next to the mic so people can hear.
So, Mick, we're going to get you, obviously, for the full 80 afterwards, but we're just going to ask you a quick question, what me and Joe have just argued about.
Okay.
Don't swear anything, Mr. Gledell. Right. I've said about the Luke
Gale...
No,
just ask the question, because you always manipulate it to get your answer. It's the way you do it.
I've said about the Luke Gale signing is exciting, and people should be excited in the Championship. All the teams for Luke Gale coming to their ground, and now it's give it a big boost, and I can't wait to watch it. Joe is saying the fans are not excited unless you're a Keighley fan. They're like,
no,
well,
that's not what you manipulate your words. So Mick, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you loud.
So I said, as a fan of another team, you're not. Dad's argument was that fans around the happy will be happy if you're another team to go watch Luke Gale. I'm saying that's not how fans think. Fans will be pissed off because now they've got a less of a chance of winning against Keighley, which they could have seen as a game they can pick up.
So for someone who's just said don't put your case across, you've tried to put your case across.
Yeah, because I'd get it in before you, so get it in.
He's tried his best there to manipulate you.
That's not. Well, no. Have I manipulated anything?
Right,
Have I given a fair representation?
You always Sam. Sam's not backing you up this time.
He is. He's nodding his head,
Mick,
saying I'm exactly
apologies,
right.
Mick, we've asked you to talk, and Joe's took over. So, could we have your answer on the matter? How does a Championship fan take the Luke Gale signing?
Of a particular team. You can word it the way you
want.
want.
Mick.
Well, first of all, it enhances the Championship because...
No, we both said that. Relax.
Don't talk.
As I was talking to many people last night, if someone had said Luke Gale's going to be playing in the Championship at Keighley next year, this was last year, they'd be like, what? They'd be sending you to the lunatic asylum, but, the Championship is evolving and changing. To answer your question, I would say Luke Gale, if you're a Batley fan and Keighley are coming, yes, there is going to be a little bit of a buzz that you are seeing a player of Luke Gale's quality and calibre at that level, but at the same time, you're going to be thinking, well, hang on a second, Keighley, they've spent and recruited well, and they've obviously put the money in to acquire the signature of Luke Gale. You are going to be filled with trepidation a bit, because you are going to be thinking, well, we're all trying to fight to get in that top four to meet the criteria and the grading what IMG have told them. You need to be in that top four next year to have a chance of getting into Super League. So, if a Luke Gale Keighley Cougars side comes to your ground, well, yes, it's exciting.
You know it.
Seeing the best players, but at the same
Thank
time,
you.
He said what I said.
You don't want a Luke Gale.
You said what I said.
Pulling the strings and helping Keighley pick up 2 vital points, which could see you miss out on the playoffs, and crucially,
I think you've split.
On that top four.
Right, so I'll try and leave it like this. Mick Gledel gets up in 8 weeks' time. Keighley coming to Bradford. Are you excited as a fan for Luke Gale coming to Bradford? Yes or no? That's it. It's a yes or no answer.
You manipulated. You're sick in the head. He knows what Mick's know that you're something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you.
I know my answer might have come across.
He's laughing at you, Dad, not like what you.
Go on, Mick.
As a fan of the Championship of nearly a decade now, Bradford have been out of the Championship, and Bradford are predominantly one of the clubs I cover and work for on local radio. You want those players in that Championship. So yes, anybody would be a fool to say that they're not excited by having Luke Gale in the Championship.
Yeah, but as a fan of a particular team, Mick, that's the question,
Mick,
isn't it?
you've answered it.
No, he said what I said.
I'll ring you later for the show.
Mick, answer what we said, son. Answer what we said.
So your point is perfectly valid. If you're a Bradford fan and Keighley are coming with Luke Gale, you are going to be thinking, wow, he could be the difference between us getting 2 points this afternoon or not. And that's ultimately and fundamentally why Luke Gale is such a huge signing for Keighley. It'd be a huge signing if you went to Bradford. I know Bradford, there was a bit of interest. Halifax, if it had gone to York. Look, Luke Gale could be that missing piece of the jigsaw that takes a team from the Championship to Super League. I'm not saying that's going to be with Keighley, but Luke Gale, on his day, fully fit, fully fledged, fully invested in that environment and that culture, he can pull the strings, and he can be that missing pivot, that spine, go from A to B, Championship to Super League. But yeah,
Thank you, Mick. Come on,
brilliant. All right, thank you, Mick. Appreciate it. We'll see you for the full 80, Mick.
See you soon.
See you.
So, Sam, I'll let you wheel shut up because it's boring. I'm going to let you answer what you think was.
So let's move on, but what Mick finished on there, Bradford and any other clubs that are interested.
York.
Next from the champ in Luke Gale, why not then?
Okay. Lovely.
Why not Bradford?
Okay, right, and the next one we've got. I think
He just asked a question to you.
No, I thought you were going to put it up for them to answer. You want us to?
No, yeah, he wants you to answer.
Why not Bradford? Why not?
Easy, I think. Bradford had already spent the money. They'd had existing cap money on their halfbacks. Obviously got Deck Patton, who would be on quite a bit of money for Championship. And I think Deck's got another year, so they couldn't get enough money out to get him in. I think there was talks, but not as far as what Mick's saying. They were just dreaming talks of saying that'd be amazing if Luke Gale came back to Bradford. The fans were, quite happy. I said sometimes, listen, it's weird because what debate we've just had, I'm hoping, even if I was a die-hard fan, and I've probably been a die-hard fan of 2 or 3 teams in my life, and I always got excited about my own team, but I always got excited about who were coming. I've always done that. I'd say a majority of my mates would be like, we were Chef Wednesday, we went to Chef Wednesday for a year. We saw Gascoigne come. I've never seen a crowd, I've never seen people outside the ground buzzing for little Geordie coming. Everybody want to do it. When you want Wednesday to win, but you got a chance to watch a 22-year-old Paul Gascoigne. He put about 4,000 on. After the ground, they were just in speechless. He did 2 or 3 things that everyone were like talking about. That for me is what sport's about. Joe asked the question about Tom Brady, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods might not be my favourite golfer when I would go to watch him. If I was a die-hard fan of, let's say Leeds, right? Well,
what you're saying is, what I'm saying is, if you're a neutral fan, so if you're not,
no, I'm saying a die-hard.
Yeah, which a neutral fan is, because if you're a neutral fan, you're just a fan of the sport rather than an
No. So when we first come
if you're
to
just
Leeds,
a neutral fan,
we're spending all the money.
They will put a massive gate on every. Gailey will put a bigger gate on every team. I'd say pretty much guaranteed. Maybe some people saying I think he'll put an extra 50 to 100 on every gate in Champ as because neutral fans will go and watch that game now. If you're not a diehard fan of either one of them, you will go and watch Luke Gale play in his final season, second to last season.
Yeah, but the last one, I'll leave it on this, is that when we did go to Rhinos, before we got into rugby, we did it close, and we're a big fan of Rhinos. We had a box, paid our way, never missed an home game. I got more excited when I knew Jamie Lyon were coming through them gates. I couldn't believe it. That was me. I was watching Jamie Lyon. I can remember watching Matt Gidley thinking, oh my God, Gidley v Senior. That was just the most exciting thing of the day. I used to love the battle between Rob Burrow, Danny Maguire, Sean Long and Leon Price. It was to see the battle. It was to see the best players against each other. Of course I wanted Leeds to win at that time because I was cheering Leeds. But my God, was there a skip in the step when you knew we were coming? 100%. When you knew Andy Farrell once turned a playoff game at Leeds into best performance I've ever individually seen. He had he single-handedly. He got a standing ovation. It was worth it to watch. I talked about that for years. Danny Maguire talked about it. We got to see Andy Farrell in his palm rip Leeds apart. It were unbelievable. And everybody who were there at that day would have said the same thing. You get to watch somebody who were at that time,
maybe on the day,
best to loose forward in the world, play on that day. We got Paul Sculthorpe needs to come. Everybody used to buzz. You're watching Scully. He was absolutely world class.
You're wrong, but it's all right.
Okay, the next one. We've got Kevin Proctor at Wakefield. I think it got announced officially yesterday. Apologies, Wakefield fans, if that's a little bit different. We've got down here back row a 33-year-old. He's obviously pedigree is to. You'll all know Proctor from when he first came on the scene with the hairdo. He was very well known. They had the Matt King. I think I watched him quite a lot when he were at Gold Coast and at New Zealand. Been a fantastic servant internationally and been a fantastic servant in the NRL. It's a big gamble, there's no doubt, bringing him across. I don't know what his stats are for last year, Joe. Did you check?
Played 23 games for Gold Coast last season. He played in the elimination loss against the Sydney Roosters.
Fantastic.
He got terminated his contract because he did a video of him vaping, and they fined him and terminated his contract. So
well, there you go. That's how sometimes even people shouldn't comment. I didn't know he played 30. It's unbelievable. So at 33, he's played 30 odd times in the NRL last year. He's coming
23 times.
23 times coming here on a lot of form. Then they got to the playoffs. historically he was, and again that's a bit rude of me not to do more homework and everybody, because I didn't know he'd done that. I thought he'd petered out and he's coming here on a gamble. Again, I'll say it like this: Wakefield have lost David Fafita. I think Fafita would be the same age as Proctor. So I'd say that you're bringing Dave leaves, and then you're bringing him in. You know, not say to take his place, but you're bringing somebody in of the same age. But I think at times people thought Dave was coming towards the end of his career. So to bring Proctor in at the same age, listen, let's hope for the comp. We've just mentioned the Luke Gale segment. Let's hope for the comp. Kevin Proctor comes here with his attitude ready to roll, because the one thing he can do, he can hit, he can tackle, and it's what they're going to need. They're going to need some people in that pack to carry them through this. And I said this before: the first 6 or 8 weeks are so essential for Wakefield season. A lot of players are fatigued from the World Cup. Wakefield didn't have many players in the World Cup. These guys should come over. I mean, if he's only just coming over now, he's probably going to have to get his God, I think he'll play Boxing Day. I mean, that'd be unbelievable. He could throw him in after 10 days.
Well, it depends how fit he's been keeping in the off season in the last couple of months, doesn't it? I think that's if he's not been training, just been sat at home, probably not. But if he's been keeping really fit and active and at it, you'd say there's no reason why he can't have a 25-minute stint at the Boxing Day game.
Well, hopefully, as we've just said, if fans get to see him play, he's the right character. I've done the little bit of the personal stuff. They say he's the right character. He'll definitely make an impression in our game. We need some buzz about the place for us to even talk about it for last 4 weeks ins and outs. At least we've got something to talk about. The game's brought some players, and good on Wakey for doing it. As I say, I think it's a gamble. If it's a gamble that pays off, he could be the biggest reason Wakefield, finish in the top 8 this year. If it goes the other way, as I say, you have to take it both ways. I
think the key also is that the word experience, isn't it? I think it's a buzzword used by rugby league coaches and that, but it's probably true in his case. He's, like I said, he's international, New Zealand international, been there and played at every level of the sport, and I think he's there probably to, like you said, exactly replace Dave Fafita in that older player role that's going to be there for a team that I think is seen as quite a young team. You've obviously got Corey, Lewis Murphy. That's a full edge of your team. I think you've got young players all throughout coming through. So I think they brought him in there for that classic word experience to really lead a young team and hopefully, like you said, keep them up and maybe do something well in the season.
One thing I will say is Mark Applegarth. He would have done a lot of homework. Mark Mash's details very, very good. So giving respect to Michael, and the historically at Wakey have had some unbelievable overseas signings for the right money as well, by the way. They've never brought big players over for loads of money. They took Jacob Miller when he was at Hull, and brought him to Wakefield. That's fantastic. David Fafita, Bill Tupper, we could name another 10. They've always done historically. They've done very well with overseas players.
Yeah.
So let's hope they've got this one right. I know that they've done their own work. Good luck to Wakey. And hopefully he's a bit of a character and we can get some highlights from the game. Joe, the last one of the segment.
Yeah, the last one is, I think it got announced yesterday, obviously depending on when the video comes out, but McKenzie Yei signed for Featherstone Rovers. He's a prop. He's a good age, 25 years old, something we like signing a younger player in terms of bringing them over. Normally they're a bit older than that when they come over, which is brilliant. And interesting thing about him, Dad, that I want to bring up more than anything is he plays in that Papua New Guinea Hunters side, the PNG Hunters, which is in the Queensland Cup. But they're obviously, that's a side where it's all Papua New Guinean players who are coming up and hopefully signing for NRL or coming Super League. And it kind of fits into your idea of Jamaica and what Jamaica could do, and this is obviously a product of what they can do. Someone who's gone to the World Club, played for Papua New Guinea, the club that he represents, and ripped it up well, and he's got himself I think a decent deal at Featherstone, where they're probably looking at the top 2 favourites to go up this year, so he could see himself in Super League, which is, I think, a dream for a lot of these Papua New Guinean players who were in the Queensland Cup. It's either obviously NRL or Super League, and I think it'd be brilliant, and I think he'll be raring to go, and he probably will have a brilliant season, and he's 25 years old, so he's at it, and he wants to be Super League.
Well, and it's good that Feather got some. We've been waiting for Feather to make some moves, haven't they? I know they mentioned they've extended Daniel Lockwood, James Lockwood, which I think is fantastic. He's been a stalwart there and at Dewsbury, but again, that's fantastic. Come on, Feather, get some more, keep us busy. Start announcing some players. I think we're in talks with Feather about someone, aren't we? We're allowed to say that.
I don't know for a long
Probably not. Probably too late. Listen, hope you enjoyed that. That was our segment. We got into it a bit emotionally, you know. I know, you know. Listen, we have a debate. We have a bit of crack. It's good for the show. Joe's wrong. I'm right. Mick Leddle I think Mick played both sides at fence more. I think about it. He put a bit in the left, but in the right. Great to hear what you all think about the Keighley signing. Please get us some good comments and give us some welly if you want to give us some welly, and agree with us if you want to agree with us. So, Merry Christmas from inside of the deal, and hope you enjoy the content. Please subscribe, please like, show me the money Rugby TV.